Hi everyone, my name's Brian, and this is becoming a bit of a weekly tradition for me to try and make a deck that reminds me of my past in playing Modern or Magic in general, and I kind of hit a wall over and over. Now, for the first time in quite some weeks, I actually had time to try and maneuver the deck a little bit before I turned the camera on, and that might have been a mistake. So this is an Izzet Breach deck. Ignore the teamer moniker over there. You can tell that this has gone through a handful of iterations while I've been trying to make it even remotely competitive in Modern. And yeah, I'll go through the story after I go through the list. If you just want to look at the games, I normally have the chapters down below. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what has Teamer Breached turned into as Brian has tried to make it just competitive, not even winning every game, like winning maybe one game out of a match. So Breach, before Underworld Breach was printed, used to actually mean through the breach. And this is essentially a sneak attack as an instant all in one. So you put a creature on the field, it gains haste, you can attack with it once, and then at the end of turn, you have to sacrifice it. Now, the thing about this is it is arcane. You could splice it into arcane spells. There's no other arcane spell in this deck. This is just, one part of your combo, and the other part of your combo is Emrakul Aeon's Torn. So the thing about Emrakul is when it attacks, your opponent has to sacrifice 6 permanents. It's also a flying 15/15 that has protection from colored spells. And normally attacking with it once in Modern will win you the game. So the rest of the deck is literally just supporting this 2-card combo. Now, this deck eventually turned into Blue Moon, which turned into Izzet Phoenix, which fizzled out once Faithless Looting was banned. But essentially, back in the day when I was playing this was my second Modern deck ever, you're just trying to stall the game a little bit, assemble your combo pieces, and win pretty much on turn 5. And in 2016, games made it to turn 5. Not so much anymore, and also Counterspell wasn't in the format. The best Counterspell in the format was Cryptic Command, so you could actually race your opponent on this. So let's see what this has turned into. So starting with the biggest things, obviously we have Emrakul, and then Through the Breach, we've already went over those. 3 Force of Negations, trying to protect your combo. You can do this on your opponent's end step because it is an instant as far as Through the Breach goes, and you can use Force of Negation to protect yourself, or also just to stop your opponent from winning the game long enough so that you get to Emrakul Breach them. 2 Archmage's Charm kind of took the place of Cryptic Command. When I started, I had Cryptic Commands in this list, but outside of nostalgia, there's no reason to play Cryptic right now, especially in a deck like this that does nothing, wins the game. 4 Impulses, these were my latest attempt to try and save this poor deck. And these are just, look at your top 4 cards, pick any card you want, put that into your hand, keep on rocking it. Instant, so you can do it at your opponent's end step and try and win the game the next turn, more or less. Remands, now, these are here over counterspells, although there is one counterspell main, because I'm just trying to draw cards. This deck doesn't do a great job of keeping its hand full because you're constantly just trying to do the combo as quickly as possible. So drawing the card after tempoing your opponent has seemed to be okay, but we can always change it for counterspells working. 3 Snapcaster Mages just to redo some of our spells, normally our Lightning Bolts or our other 1-drops. They also are an alternative win con. 1 counterspell, we had a slot open. 4 Considers, I consider the Considers better than the Ops, especially since this is a no fetch list, and we'll go over why in a minute. So we have 3 Ops, 4 Considers to try and churn through our deck and find the combo. 4 Lightning Bolts as removal, and also just to catch our opponent out with Bolt, Snap, Bolt, still a win con. And 3 Ragavans. So I tried this with 4 Ragavans, it didn't like it. Trying it with 3 Ragavans seems a little bit better. You want 1 Ragavan in your opening hand, or if your opponent has removal, you want 2. But if you rip Ragavan off the top of this deck, it doesn't do a ton. But honestly, I'm not even trying to steal stuff from my opponent with this guy. I'm just trying to ramp so I can Through the Breach a little earlier. On the land side of things, we have 4 Cascade Bluffs, which are filter land. We have 3 Fiery Islets, which are just lands that come into play untapped. 1 Mountain, only 1 island in the whole deck. 4 Reflecting Pools, which are an interesting land, but essentially it's just a red-blue land that isn't an island, and that's important for the sideboard. 4 Riverglide Pathways, and 4 Spire Bluff Canal. Now, why are we running this really weird package here? Well, first of all, if you run it with the traditional fetch package, which I have done in the past, you end up breaching with Emrakul, and then you shuffle a lot of air back into your deck, a lot of lands you don't want to draw again. Whereas now, we just have these 21 lands, we draw them, they come directly into play, and also there's only 1 island in the whole thing, which means we get to play Boil in the sideboard. And with so much Murktide running around and 5-color elementals, people really don't see Boil coming out of the Izzet deck, so you can really catch someone out with that, as opposed to just playing Blood Moon, which is the other option if you're just playing a more traditional mana base. Also, it makes you immune to Boil if your opponent's like, oh, he's playing an Izzet deck, I'll put Boil in. 4 Madcap Experiment, which play nicely with our Platinum Empyrean. This is an alternative combo. If your opponent doesn't look like they're interacting with you at all, you could just have your 1-card combo of Madcap Experiment, which is 1 mana cheaper than Through the Breach. You play Platinum Empyrean down, and then if you have no proper attacks, you don't attack, and you just try and find a different way to win, normally with Lightning Bolts and Snapcaster Mages. 2 Anger of the Gods. These were better when Dredge were a thing, but also just a wipe is fine, and the Exiling is a nice effect as well. 2 Abrades, mostly for chalices and other silly artifacts that are causing us problems. 2 Surgical Extractions. We really can't use artifacts as graveyard hate when we're running Platinum Empyrean, so Surgicals work fine along with Snapcaster Mages. They work quite okay, actually. And 2 Spell Pierces, just to give us a little bit more counterspell if we're in a very grindy kind of dually deck on that nature. Now, here's the thing, guys. This deck is just getting to the point where it's kind of sort of winning after many, many iterations that I saved you guys from, because boy, were they not doing what they were supposed to. But this list might change as we go, especially if I'm not getting a lot of success out of the list at all. Like, just watching me get my butt kicked over and over again. Trust me, if you've ever saw the Kamigawa draft video I did, and I know you did, and only 19 people watched it, and I was one, you'll kind of know it's not fun just to see something not work. So let's go ahead and try it, see if we can't steal a win here and there, see if we want to tune it at all. And then I have an absolute cop-out list with Through the Breach Embercool we can also try if this just isn't working. But hey, let's jump into a game and see how we do. All right, we've even won the die roll. Good for us. Love to play first. Let's see what our opening hand looks like. Oh, good. There's only 1 land in the entire deck that can only be red. I'm glad we found it. So, mulligan. I mean, this hand could be anything. We're really just trying to churn through this deck, so maybe if we just get rid of one of the Cascade bluffs and just kind of try it like that, we'll play out the Spire Bluff Canal and just pass. And if our opponent plays like turn 1 Ragavan, we have Lightning Bolt. Otherwise, hopefully, we opt and start finding things. Now, again, another problem with this deck is we need 5 mana on top of, you know, needing our 2-card combo. And again, back in the day, that was a reasonable thing to do. Mountain. No, go away, Mountain. Nobody wants you here, Mountain. All right, so we're going to play Cascade Bluffs, and if they try anything, we have a counter spell. If they don't try anything, we have an impulse to try and start putting this all together. See what they fetch on our end step. Just a Watery Grave, untapped, so probably some sort of Shadow List. Consider. Likes whatever they find. All right, opponent untaps. Plays an island. Fascinating. They'll probably counter our impulse, but you know, that's actually something I've been noticing when I've been trying to play this deck. All I've been doing is we're going to take the Emrakul only because there's a lot of lands in this deck versus only 4 Emrakuls, even though we're nowhere near our final assembly here. I've been playing against a lot of counterspell decks whenever I try and play this combo deck out. Like, there are some decks that don't care about counterspells. This is not one of them. Ooh, another impulse. We'll just pass, see what they do. But yeah, I would love just to go up against Jund or something while doing this. You can consider as much as you want, big guy. Heard of another polluted delta. Seems like they might be flooding. Doesn't seem like they're going to do anything, in which case we are just going to impulse again. So we're going to, again, there's only 4 Through the Breaches, so we'll take Through the Breach. And now we just hope to find lands. So land? Realizing we just put 5 lands to the bottom as well. Fire really is lit. Okay, so 1 more land on their end step, we can try and breach Emrakul and even have 1 Force of Negation backup. But if they just keep doing a million things, Snapcaster Mage, that's fine. We can bolt the Snapcaster Mage. They can consider. Yep, while they're tapped out, we'll just get rid of that. So what we want to do now is find 1 more land. I bet you what happens now is we don't find any more lands for the rest of the game, you know? Although our Boil does seem like it'll do fun stuff. Land? Ragavan. Well, at least that's a fascinating proposal. Technically, if he gets to swing, he does create a treasure. He must have a way to kill Ragavan. There's no way this connects. That's what I thought. Lightning Bolt. Is it worth fighting over? He must have counters. He must have counters. I'm just going to let Ragavan go. I think having all the pieces in our hand and just finding a land is better for us than trying to save Ragavan and go up against whatever counterspell. We also have to watch ourselves now because, yeah, you can draw 2 cards. Because they're drowned in the locks will now also counter Through the Breach. Normally, the Through the Breach thing is not much of a problem, but Creeping Tar Pit. Now, deck, I need land so bad it hurts. Land, please. Another Emrakul. Okay, well, now we got problems. So we're just going to sit here and not draw lands, and Brian's going to feel sad. What do you got going? Another Snapcaster Mage. Sure thing. Looks like this is just Grixis Control, which Watch us go up against 4 just control decks after this too. Expressive iteration. You're allowed to iterate. I just need a land, and on your next end step, I need to try and through the breach, Mr. Emrakul with 1 backup. Mrs. Emrakul. Emrakul is female, as I'm reminded. Ooh, they're gonna Thought Seize. So now we're just gonna kind of give up on our counterspell backup. Just get rid of that. Thought Seize and counterspells are not good for us. Good thing our opponent is Grixis. All right, come on deck, land, and then opponent somehow in your Grixis deck don't have a million counters. Riverglide Pathway, sure. There's no way he doesn't have counterspells, so I'm going to pass. I'm going to see if on his turn he makes any sort of mistake. If we draw a blue card, we can kind of be in it again. If they play Hand Disruption, though, we lost. We might even just scoop. Okay, commanding. Oh, I have to discard a card. Well, I'll discard Emrakul. Shuffle all that back into our deck, which gives us a higher chance of finding a blue card. Expressive Iteration. Okay, I feel like they Hand Disrupt us now, and we lose our window, is what I feel happens now. So again, you'll notice, like, our deck, we now have 3 cards in hand. Our opponent has 8. We're both trying to do, like, kind of control-y things. Let's see what they discard. A command. We're gonna go again. I mean, maybe we shouldn't have used the Force of Negation, but I didn't want them to be able to Cryptic or snap the Thoughtseize, which we go. Your Snapcaster Mage. Brazen Borrower. Okay, just looking to try and close it out, it looks like. The thing is, they already saw Emrakul, so they know what we're up to. So we're going to Impulse and see if we can find something useful. Otherwise, we'll check if they have it, but I bet you they do. All right, so we'll take Remand, any order. If we could find a Force of Negation off the top, that'd be great. Another Impulse. We're at 11. They can deal us 8. I mean, I'm just going to go for it. I'm pretty sure we're dead here. But hey, if it somehow works, otherwise we'll just scoop. Yep, just plain old counterspell. So much for that. I hate you, deck. I hate you so much with a burning, fiery passion. Oh man, that's hilarious. Okay, so they have a million pieces of removal, so Platinum Empyrean doesn't seem like a great move. Boils seem good, though. Boils are good. Surgical and Spell Pierce is good. What's bad? Maybe we can cut like a couple of Remands, cut an Opt, cut maybe even 1 Snapcaster, and then what? Counterspell's probably 2 mana intensive. We have these. We can cut another Remand. We're putting in Spell Pierces. Try that. This could be super wrong. Like, I'm not saying I'm good at playing this deck because clearly you just saw what happened. So let's try again. All right, we get to go first, and unfortunately, Reflecting Pool does not generate mana on its own. Sure. Give up on 1 Cascade Bluff. We're not going to be able to do anything turn 1 here. We can play Cascade Bluff and just kind of pass. And then the Reflecting Pool should be able to make all 3 colors off of the Cascade Bluff, so we can start doing stuff. Oh, good. They didn't Thoughtseize us turn 1, which is nice. Okay, play the Reflecting Pool. Yep, that can cast all the colors now, so we'll just pass. So either they do something that we can hopefully Spell Pierce, or we start opting and considering through our deck. Now, there were versions of this deck that had the Thing in the Ice, but like I was completely taking out the combo when I did that, and I did want to try and play Breach. Force of Negation. That's actually kind of helpful, so we'll keep that, and we'll Opt. Opt is not helpful, so put that to the bottom. We find Emrakul. Okay, so we're back where we were in the previous game, where we're just trying to get to... Ooh, okay. So we super want 1 more land. If we find 1 more land and we get to boil our opponent, I will consider that a moral victory, even if we lose the match. Okay, cool. The other thing about boil is it's an instant for some reason. Oh, they just ice down 1 of our lands? Sure. All right, they also have a Cascade Bluff. Good for them. Please be a land. Please be a land. Please be a land. Please be a land. Impulse. Not a land, but we're going to just crack this off now because we want to find a land to play. Probably the Cascade Bluffs order. All right, so now we can just pass, and again at the end of their next turn, if we find a land, we can Force of Negation, facing that down. Sure. So long as they don't hit us with a Thoughtseize, I feel pretty good. Voidwalker. Nothing we can do about that. Land? Brian says land, please. Oh, they're through the breach. All right, so you're kind of seeing the joke of this deck. Like, it's always 1 turn away from winning. The problem is you never get to that 1 turn. All right, hopefully they tap out a bit or just commit a little bit more to the field so that we can boil. Want to attack with Dorothy Voidwalker? No. I'm going to snap off boil to eat 1 of their counterspells. Boil. All right, so there goes 1 of their counterspells. You know what? Let's fight over this. You have a second counterspell. I'm just trying to eat as many counterspells as you have. Okay. So we lost that battle, but we got 2 straight up counterspells out of their hand. And now, dear God, please find us a land. That's so aggravating, deck. No, it's going to be on... It's not even on top. Well, we might as well take the Impulse now, because that'll let us dig Deeper. Actually, wait, Z, blue, 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 blue. Where'd all my mana go? Make a blue, blue, and make a blue, blue. Impulse. Found all sorts of mana here. We'll take the Spire Bluff, because it's going to come into table A tapped anyway, any order. They can have an impulse, they're not going to use it anyway. The problem is now they're going to untap, and they're going to be able to do it. Like, they have more counters in their hand. There's just no ways around. We also have counters in our graveyard. Yeah, they can also just force of negation with Voidwalker, so. Oh well, we tried. And that's the thing about this deck. It needs a lot of things to go perfectly right, or just it's not going to happen. So the good news is, though, we have 2 Through the Breaches, so we get to try this more than once. River Glide Path. All right, so nope, not that one next to it. There's no way this goes off. We're still just trying to eat the counter spells in their hand. Yep, counter target thing, sure thing. Good to draw. Oh, another Emrakul. How useful is that? That's like the new Mystic Snake. Well, they're throwing in, so I guess they don't plan on countering with the Voidwalker. If we find like a Spell Pierce, that'd be cool. Impulse. Well, maybe later, but right now. Come on. We just got to fight through it. Make them have it. And if they have it, then we tried. Waiting to play cost, so he was slamming the counter spell so fast. Oh, good. It was Master Mage. So this is what you can expect with this deck. A lot of this going on, and a lot of not winning games. And Through the Breach used to be such a good card. We'll give it like one more turn, but then we are just going to scoop, because, yeah, going up against control, not great. Yeah. Anything with counters, really. Anything that can stop our incredibly fragile, combo here. That's a deck telling us to go screw ourselves. Impulse into what? Watch there be a Through the Breach here, and like... I'm Mighty Wizard. Okay, let's try this again. All right. We got ourselves the combo, and now we just need lands, and to hope our opponent isn't playing counterspells. Sigarda's Aid. Oh, they might just go too fast for us. Memnite. Oh, good. So next turn, they're literally going to have it, and we have a Lightning Bolt, but we can't cast our red spell turn 1. Oh, man. This feels so bad. Bill Shaper's Gift. Yeah, no, we just lose, huh? So we're gonna early scoop here and not show them anything as to what we're doing. Yeah, we had no chance. All right, so we have a Braids. I don't even think they have a way of directly interacting with Platinum Empyrean, so maybe even we'll bring in that plan along with the Abrades. Do we want to cut the other combo a touch? We could take out one Emrakul and really not feel bad about it. Remands, their stuff is so low mana. I like the Remands anything. What else? I have to take more stuff out. Maybe just 2 offs. Keep it like really, really glass cannon-y, Go glass cannon, go. All right. The Platinum Empyrean is in our hand, and this hand does, it has a Braid. That's all it's got going for it. I think we can do better. Okay, this seems fine. So keep, I guess we'll put the Snapcaster back. This might be greedy, but I kind of want to be fast about this. If they just combo off again super quickly, then I think I'll have to show you my backup deck for game 3, because this is brutal. Now, here's the thing. I did win games when I was in testing. Well, oopsie. We'll play this. I didn't opt before they had Esper Sentinel, but that's fine. I was too busy explaining that this did win games when I was in testing, but not against the best decks in the format. And Hammer Time is a very good deck, so much for that. There's Urza Saga, sure. If that's Sigarda's Aid, we're probably doomed. Right? They come screaming in. Lost his hammer, so we'll opt. AR1. Force of Negation. We can't even cast that. That's so sad. Archmage's Charm. Okay. So we'll steal their Esper Sentinel. Maybe Modern Horizons 2 can save us here. So play Cascade Bluffs. Go blue, 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 and blue. And I would like to gain control of Esper Sentinel. All right. So now we kind of hope the only thing they do is start making Urza Sagas tokens. Because if they can do that again, we won't get to the point where we can Emrakul Breach them. So please just play a land and pass. That is honestly the best thing for us. Thus proving Modern Horizons cards are the best cards in the format, because they were designed to be the best cards in the format. Oh, please don't have another hammer. They're gonna go get another hammer. There's nothing we can do about it. If we find removal, that's fine. Otherwise, we will again have been 1 card off of winning this game here. Because they can attack with the Ornithopter, and then after it's no longer blocked, they can Ragavan. Well, maybe we can bait them into making a mistake. The best thing they could do... Okay. So we're still super dead, which is unfortunate. And it just goes to show you, like, the best decks in the format are the best decks in the format for a reason. And again... Our Through the Breach deck, 1 turn away from a victory. Not much you can do about that, unfortunately. Maybe if we had Ragavan like a turn sooner, we would have had the treasure to go off, but also like I can claim Land of Milk and Honey all I want. You know, it's not gonna change anything. The only thing we can hope for here is when they cast the Colossus Hammer, we draw into removal. That's our only hope. So if when they cast Colossus Hammer, we get to just rip a lightning bolt off the top before it gets attached. I mean, there are 4 in the deck, so who knows? Okay, please. Please. Reflecting Pool's not going to do it. Okay, we'll see what our draw was and we'll scoop because we're just done. Consider. All right, that's unfortunate. Yeah, let me show you the backup deck. All right, so what you guys saw is a lot of what I've been dealing. Now, you can see the deck is like right there. It's so close to wanting to do what it's doing, but I can tell you from all the testing I've done, it's not a 50-50. It's more like a 80-20. 20% of the time, this deck is going to do stuff, but because I don't have the time to sit there and try and through the breach out an Emrakul with the deck how it should look, let's talk again about Ragavan here and why I went to this backup deck we're about to go to. So when you look at these decks, this deck was designed years ago before Modern Horizons, and it was kind of designed with the idea of, okay, through the breach, Emrakul was still a way to do things. Like, it still showed up in 5-0s every now and then. But if you're going to play Izzet, because of how Modern Horizons has affected Modern, you really need to play as much Modern Horizons as you can, and then if you want to do something cute, try and do the cute things around the Modern Horizons shell. Alright, so what if we took a deck that we know is good, and we just made it worse because we wanted to do the Through the Breach thing? This might look familiar, folks. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the bog standard Murktide deck, but instead of the top end being Murktide, the top end is Through the Breach Emrakul. And really what this was is, I don't have, personally, Leisure Shredders or Murktide Regents, but I had all the other pieces. So what if we just do this? I had to cut an Expressive and a Spell Pierce to fit in 4 and 4 Emrakul and Through the Breach, but again, like, I'm admitting out loud that what I'm doing here, this deck, is making a really good deck, the best deck in Modern, a lot of people would say, and making it infinitely worse by adding pet cards. Now, there's fun to be had there in surprising people who think it's just, oh, it's Murktide and then Emrakuling. But during my testing, this deck actually did 1,000,000 times better. So why don't we give this one a shot and see how it goes? All right. Oh, Brian. So, ladies and gentlemen, I picked the wrong deck. We'll see if we keep this this part of the video or not. I might just pitch it. Thoughtseize. So sad. Yeah, go ahead. Takes our Through the Breach. All right, so we'll play a Fiery Izzet and we'll pass. I love how I made a whole speech about this, and then I proceeded to load the wrong deck into mid-go, and I don't feel like just pitching 15 play points into the ether, so let's give it a shot. No, we need something that actually does something right. Snappy Mage is a thing. Opponent does nothing, that's good. Now, I'd feel better if our opponent did nothing and we still had Through the Breach. Oh no, they just decided to go to their second main. So they did nothing, but at the same time, they did something by doing that. So we'll play a Island, and we'll opt with our Snapcaster. Try and find ourselves something to do. Opponent, are you doing anything there, buddy? Oh, nope, just playing a land and giving it back to us. We'll take it. Snapcaster. You're gonna opt. No, we're good on lands. Again, thank you. Lightning Bolt. Okay, at least does some damage. Ragavan. Well, put you in the deck for a reason, Ragavan. All right, here comes Ragavan. Write down little Ragavan. Backup plan. Attack. Got a Castle Lochthwain. Dashes back to our hand. Okay, and now we can even cast Force of Negation if they try and do anything funny. Dogmoth, that's not good. Karn the Great Creator. I count that as something that I would like to not happen. Please and thank you. All right, here comes the Snapcaster Beats. Play Riverglide Pathway. Dash out Ragavan. Go and swing it. This is also a good point to bring up where, ooh, Damnation. Well, you don't get to play that. Another good thing to bring up here is that if you Thoughtseize somebody, it might look really tempting to take the Through the Breach, but that wouldn't have done anything for many, many turns, and also, like, it doesn't do anything now either. Alright, so they get to play whatever giant thing they want to do. Liliana of the Veil. This might be baiting me, but I'm gonna take that bait real quick. Stop the Lily. I feel like they have a bigger play after this. Yeah. If it's Karn again, then... Oh no, they're gonna just put Liliana back into their hand. Oh no, it's gonna be Karn. Put Karn back into there. Because Lily got exiled when I Force of Negation did. So our opponent's just on mono black coffers. is fine. We are out of counter spells though. Another Reflecting Pool. Now I'll play Fiery Izzet. We'll just do the same thing we've been doing this whole time. Dash our boy. Here comes Dasher. Blood Chief's Thirst. Wish I could have that in a turn, but well, Ragavan goes back to hand again. They're gonna play. Ooh, they have 2 Cabal. Cabal Coffer's not legendary. That's brutal. They're gonna get 1,000,000 mana. They can just play a Wormcoil Engine. I reckon they just worm. Yep. And then coffers into the Coil Boy. There is the Phyrexian Worm. You have more to go with your Phyrex. Doesn't look like it. We'll go to their end step, and then we'll start trying to do stuff. So first things first, why don't we consider our options here? Spire Bluff Canal. I would consider that a bad thing to draw. Remand! Good thing you showed up nice and late. So, draw a card. Can we find something? Spire Bluff Canal. All right, so we're going to draw another card. Oh, I can't because of Karn. Okay, so we will just bolt this guy and hopefully find a bolt or a Snapcaster off the top. Win ourselves a game. Impulse? Impulse could be anything. Oh no, Brian, that comes into play tapped, you silly man. Ooh, Snapcaster Mage. There's our win. Any order. Goodbye, combo. Goodbye, Moon Man. Snapcaster Mage. Lightning Bolt. Hey, we got a victory with this deck. Look at that. Hey, we found a deck that's not countering us, and our deck actually did what we wanted it to do. So how do we get the Platinum Empyrean listed? Actually, no, they play Blood Chief's Thirst, and they saw Ragavan. So I bet you they'll even have things that can kill the Platinum Empyrean. Like, what do we want to bring in? Like, what's bad at? I guess Remand on the draw is not it. You can bring in some Spell Pierces, maybe even the Surgicals, and try and do that. All right, let's try and take their things away from them and see if we can win that way. 1 mana, but we're on the draw and we have 2 cantrips. I'm going to be greedy and try it. Because if we can find a red source and dash Ragavan in turn 2, that's probably fine. Or if we just find a mountain, I will just slam Ragavan down and see what they use to try and get rid of him. Not quite a red source. All right, we'll go ahead and pass. Next turn, we can start dashing him, though. All right, they got an Expo map, or they got to play, like, Voidwalker or something. No, they're just going to map. All right, we'll just consider in the meantime. Reflecting Pool, that's actually fine. We could use some more mana. Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Well, they must have coffers in their hand already then. Another Ragavan. Well, oh no, Reflecting Pool, Brian, you fool! Punts. Nothing like a punt when you forget how Reflecting Pool works. Oh man, that's unfortunate. It would have been great to have an extra mana on the field, but I guess we'll take this time to Impulse. I guess we still just need land. We're just looking for the Through the Breach now. Oh, okay, well. Cascade Bluffs. Brian, make sure you do it that way. This way you can actually do stuff. Dashavan. See if it gets killed. All right, so if we don't die this turn, we'll get him pretty hard next turn. Because the Ragavan treasure plan is actually working. Cling to Dust, sure. They just drew a card. If they hand disrupt us, that's really bad. But if they don't hand disrupt us, that's really... Please just be Arn or something. Golos, that's fine. Golos gets sacrificed like everything else you're about. I think we're going to win a match, guys. It's going to have taken a while, but I think we're going to do it. All right. Red, specifically, Brian. Make sure you have red mana. Through the Breach. Rawr. Here's Emrakul. You don't have any mana anymore. They just got to scoop before I get to attack. I mean, the deck did the thing. It just goes to show you that there still is a bit of rock, paper, scissors in Modern. And like, against something like Mono Black offers, this deck can still do stuff. We win a match! Oh my god, okay. I'm still going to show a game with the other deck because I already showed it to you. But let's go do that now. Guys, I think this video was cursed. So to recap, we had the first deck that didn't do so well. I did manage to get a win on record though. So that there's a recording in existence of that. And then, as you kind of saw with the hilarious sped up footage there, when I tried to do this deck, I had some technical difficulties. The game I won with this deck, I didn't record, and I tried to go back and do the thing where I voiced over it, but it was kind of lame, so I decided to all package it into that one joke there. So the original version of the deck, I lost 2 matches, 1-1. This version of the deck, I lost 1-1. And rather than showing you a video where it's primarily me doing nothing and dying, because that's 3 matches, that's not even entertaining. I can only be so entertaining on this side of the screen when the only thing I'm doing is sitting here drawing and dying and dying and dying and nothing's happening. So I hope you enjoyed the return of the clown music. I know I did, and I am just going to call it there for this week, guys. If you watched Eldrazi and Taxes, and you saw at the end of Eldrazi and Taxes me talk about Breach and me not wanting to do Breach next week, this is why. And this is why I can't recommend you do the Through the Breach Emrakul combo right now. It's just too expensive. There's so many more counterspells in Modern. Back in the day, the best counterspell in Modern was Cryptic Command. And by the time your opponent was doing Cryptic Commands, you were pretty far ahead. And, you know, there were other counterspells. There was Mana Leak, which would get you in the early game. But this was a legitimate deck that used to be able to kind of mix it up in Modern. Not so much anymore. And I thought what I was going to say about this deck was the Modern Horizon shells are so good, you can even power them down and do really good. But I only have 1 match on camera, and it wasn't even on camera. It was just a match that I played, and then I went back and did the voiceover again for where it won. And yeah, that's all for this week. Next week, hopefully I do something a little bit more cool where there's a little bit more back and forward and all of that. Remember, guys, email me at HeyDummyPlayThis@gmail.com if you have something you want to see me try and play. Again, my budget is roll a couple of quarters across the table, but if you've seen cards that I've already played with and you have a list that associates to that, there's a very high chance I'll play it, because all you have to do is ask. So yeah, thank you guys for coming along for the ride. I will see you next time. Later.